Well, it's been quite a journey to get to this car. This is the all-new 2019 Toyota Corolla Hatch. We have to back up just a little bit because you might remember Scion was in the Canadian marketplace, didn't go so well. They had a hatchback called the IM, and then they changed it when they got rid of the Scion brand into the Corolla IM, and now we have the real Corolla Hatchback. This all-new product based on their global architecture. This global architecture is spreading throughout the Toyota family. It started in Prius, then it's in the new Camry, it's in the new Avalon, it's in the new CHR, and now this Corolla Hatch. And you can bet it's going to be in the regular sedan when that comes out, hopefully within the year. So the hatchback is a sportier take on the regular Corolla. It certainly looks good in my opinion. It's longer than the previous IM by 40 millimeters. The wheelbase is longer by 40 millimeters. They drop down the hood, they drop down the roof to give it a wider, longer, and sexier silhouette. You can see it, it's available with alloy wheels starting at 16 inches and going up to 18 inches on the top model. Standard LED headlamps, standard LED tail lamps. So you're getting more car for your money. I'll get into the pricing in just a little bit. It's got more power as well. It's got more features on the inside. So we're here just outside of Montreal in the Eastern Townships to tell you more about the all-new Toyota Corolla Hatch. So this is an all-new car from the wheels up. It's built on Toyota's new global architecture, and what it offers is a much more rigid platform. This car is actually 60% more rigid than the previous Corolla IM. It's longer, it's lower, and the roof has been lowered. And I'll talk about that in just a moment because that's one area that actually is something to pay attention to. Okay, so you have a more rigid platform that lets the suspension do more of the work. And speaking of the suspension, the one great thing about the IM, and is carried over into this car, it has independent multi-link rear suspension, and it makes a big difference. Now, what's going to happen with Corolla sedan? Well, you can almost bet that this platform is going to be used for the new Corolla, and it probably will have independent rear suspension finally when that car comes out, hopefully within the next 12 months. So this car has a brand new engine. It is a 2-liter. It has direct injection and it has port injection. Toyota calls it their D4S system. It produces 31 more horsepower than the last car at 168, and torque is 151. And they have 2 transmissions. They're making a big deal about the fact that Toyota is saving the manuals with a manual transmission in a car that they hope appeals to a younger or a buyer that has a youthful spirit and wants to actually drive their car. And that's the car I'm driving today. And the manual transmission is pretty good. It even has, believe it or not, rev matching, which is pretty cool in a Corolla. Now let's talk about the continuously variable transmission. That's right, the regular hatch with the automatic has a CVT, but it has something that I've never had in a Toyota or any other manufacturer before. It actually has a mechanical cogged first gear. So when you get away from a stoplight or a traffic light, there's actually a real gear set there, and then when it hits a certain speed, it shifts the gear set out of the way and lets the CVT do what it does best, which is deliver good fuel economy. So you get the best of both worlds. You get that real connected mechanical feel in first gear, and then the fuel efficiency when you need it. And the combined fuel economy for both city and highway with the CVT is 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So that's pretty impressive technology. So then you have the independent suspension, and how does it all come together? Well, the launch is here in Quebec, notorious for uneven, bumpy roads, and the car is doing a great job of gobbling all of that up, all of the unevenness on the pavement. It isn't the most sporty in this class, I would say. However, it's a good all-rounder. And horsepower is 168, which is good, but because this is a 2-liter naturally aspirated engine, it doesn't have the low-end torque that you get with some of its direct competitors when they have turbocharged engine. Example is the Volkswagen Golf has 170 horsepower and almost 200 pound-feet of torque. That's a big jump in torque. And there are some instances when you're driving this car, you wish it had a little bit more bottom-end grunt. But for the average person driving to work and doing their everyday activities, this car is going to be more than adequate. Okay, I'm going to pull over for a second because I want to talk about the inside of this car and the technology. All right, first I have to say the interior is very pleasant. It's very simple. It's a car that's actually manufactured in Japan and imported here to Canada, and it has a simple, clean, almost European execution to the interior. The materials and the way it's put together is all first-rate, soft touch materials, and you notice right away the large screen that's mounted in the center of the dash. It's an 8-inch unit. It's standard on every single car. It has a backup camera, of course. Apple CarPlay is included. The Toyota executives I asked here say they're working with Android to sort of figure out how they're going to integrate Google into this, and they're working with them. And I said, so is it going to happen? They said eventually they're going to get there, but right now it's just Apple. That's something to consider. Now with this radio, if you get the top XSE trim, it comes with satellite radio, but all of the rest of the Corolla hatchbacks don't come with satellite radio, which to me seems kind of silly. I don't know. For example, my wife loves satellite radio. She wouldn't have a car without it. So you're going to have some people that will be disappointed about that. In behind the steering wheel, there's a small 4.2-inch digital screen along with the analog gauges on almost all of the trims. The top trim gets a 7-inch unit, makes it look more like a digital cockpit, digital dashboard, but at least it's available on the higher trim levels. Now here's another thing to consider. The seats are very, very comfortable. Toyota does a great job with whatever the density is of the foam they use in their cars. Their seats have a lot of support and are quite comfortable. If you want heated seats, which is a major concern in the Canadian marketplace, not available on the base model. You have to go one up to the one I'm in here, which is the SE trim. But when you get that, you also get a heated steering wheel. So it is available, however, it's not standard equipment and it cannot be added to the base trim. That's something to think about. Now, I mentioned at the beginning, this is a new platform that's lower, longer, and wider. Now, that also drops the roof line down. And you notice that when you're sitting in the car, the roof is low, and maybe that's the reason why there is no sunroof. I don't like sunroofs. Some people love them. That can be a deal breaker. And you notice it when you get in the back. The back door doesn't open that far. Sure, you can get in, it's not that big an issue, but when you're sitting in it, if you're taller like me, the side of the door and the roof is actually lower than your head. So outward visibility is a concern for tall people. If it's just kids sitting back there, they'll have no issue. The fact this car has a 40mm longer wheelbase is going to afford more rear cargo capacity. The back cargo area where you put your bags and things is what I would call average. This isn't a big car. It's a compact car, and you know what? It's going to be fine for most people. Now, another hallmark of Toyota over the last few years has been the inclusion of advanced safety features as standard equipment on all of their cars. So this car not only has Toyota Safety Sense P, it has additional features that include bicycle detection now, and also a trace feature, which traces in between the lines, so you don't do that ping pong back and forth with the lane keep assist. It tries to keep you in the middle of the lane, which is welcome. I don't like lane keep assist systems. I always turn them off, but some people will like that. Of course, you get the forward collision warning and all of those sorts of things. But Toyota seems to be layering on even more and more safety features with every new model, and a lot of people are going to gravitate towards that. All right, let's get into the pricing. Toyota was quick to tell us that this new model is $1,800 less expensive than the previous IM base model. If you get the continuously variable transmission or the automatic, it's roughly the same price as the previous car. Starts at roughly $21,000. If you want the automatic, add $1,000 more, and can go all the way up to $28,000. The car we have here is the SE with the upgraded package, and it's around $24,000. And you know what? It has everything that I would really ever want. A couple of things it's missing. There's no sunroof in this car, and the base model doesn't get heated seats. You need to get the SE in order to get that, and most people will be glad to pay the extra money to get it. I like the fact they've got Apple CarPlay. The large 8-inch screen is standard equipment. However, no Android. Toyota says they're working on that, and I think it's only a matter of time before that arrives as well. This is a nice looking car. It certainly handles well. If you're in the market for a sort of a driver's hatchback, Mazda 3, Civic hatchback, or a Golf, this one should be tried. I think you're going to be impressed.